Are the glory days back for Bafana Bafana?
I think they certainly are, man. And by glory days, I mean us winning games, number one. I think that is primary to the definition, but also the fans getting behind them and actually believing. I mean, obviously, I know it's a bit cliche, and I fall into the rest of the bunch when I say this now, right? But I started to think to myself that actually, the last couple of times when I've gone to watch Bafana, I've watched with an expectation of a win. I've watched with the idea that I'm about to watch some good football.
Yep.
And that hasn't been the case, obviously, we know for the longest part. But obviously, then this 5-0 result stamps that idea, which we do play good football compared to our competitors on the continent. And number two, people do believe in what Hugo Bros has put together. Are the glory days back? I think so, Jay. I definitely think so because one, we've gone to an AFCON, right, where Tim Nkosi Lodge scores a fantastic goal where we beat Egypt, and we're like, oh, Bafana is surprising, right? We're doing more than what we expected, and then we get knocked out by Nigeria, and then between that particular result and until we get to the next AFCON, it's a varied string of results, losses here, disappointments there, players coming and going, players featuring in the squad and not being in the squad. But since Hugo Bros has taken hold of the squad, right, we have regular faces. You expect to see Mukwa or Opremudiba. You expect to see Mukwa and you expect to see Foster. You expect to see certain faces because we've got a core of players of which you know what to expect from, number one. Number two, consistency in terms of results. Yeah, we can say in terms of the game against Uganda and South Sudan, we should have done better instead of in terms of conceding goals or winning games instead of actually equalizing to save it at the end. But generally speaking, Bafana Bafana has us in a good place as fans. We speak about Bafana Bafana and we say to ourselves, we can score goals, we just need to show up at the back. We score 5 and we don't concede at all. And then you've got Rowan Williams, who's nominated for the Yashin Trophy, doing what he does. So, I mean, when you look at Bafana Bafana, you look at the names that we know now. Dog, when we speak about glory days, but dog, and you know what I'm speaking about.
Yes.
Shoes, you know who I'm speaking about. John Mueti, Phil Massing, Ivan, Neil Tovey, and you know what I'm talking about. Now I can say the same thing about Usaila. I can say the same thing about Umukwen, and people know what I know what you get.
You can say that, not the coach of Sundowns, but yes.
I guess, right? And also adding to the Sundowns thing, then you've got another timeless performance by Umshishi. Umshishi is a maverick because for sure Umkwena stole the show in terms of scoring early, and then Ronald Williams had those late saves where you're like, wow, these guys are performing very well. But then in the middle of all of that, there's Mshishi. So there are names that you can depend on to give you a good show. So in terms of how I feel about Bafana Bafana and what I'm seeing and what I'm enjoying, definitely the glory days are back.
What are the glory days of Bafana? What are the glory days of Bafana? Because lest we forget, Bafana Bafana are one-time African champions, you know. And following that, we went to another AFCON final in 98. And then we went to the World Cup for the first time. And then we were in the semi-final of the AFCON in 2000. And then we were at the World Cup in 2002, right? So the absolute peak of Bafana Bafana football is that. And I'm thinking about it like, are the glory days back? And if those are the golden days, the glory days, are we in a similar vein in terms of results and the overall feeling? If we were Egypt with, I think they've got 7 AFCON titles, then I'd say no, right, Chuck? But we only do have the one title.
Yeah.
It's not quite that. Like I'm not over here sitting and saying that, yeah, man, we are back to 96. To that 2002 era kind of results. We're back to that period. We're not quite there yet because I do think we need to go and win another AFCON. You know, I think we do need to qualify for the World Cup and do well when we do get to the World Cup. But yeah, Chuck, the glory days are back. The glory days are back because of that feeling. The thing that you describe, that when we go into a match, it does not matter who we're playing at this point. There is a sense that we can win this. So even when we come away with a 5-0 victory, right? It's not something that we used to as Bafana Bafana fans that, we're going to show up in an international match, a World Cup qualifier, not even a friendly against a minnow, whatever the case may be, and put 5 past them. And yes, you're feeling giddy. You're excited, you know, but at the same time, there's a sense that, that's not unexpected. You know, I haven't felt like this in a long time. Like, if you were alive in a particular time of Bafana Bafana's performances or their dominance, and that's that mid-90s into the early 2000s, you remember Uti Bafana Bafana used to be referred to simply as Isquad. When we said Isquad is playing, you knew everyone was gathering around the TV, and there was a sense that something remarkable is about to take place, right? You expect it, and I think that's where we are. We have expectations of this team. I You might say it might be reactionary, but I did get on this platform. We're not on video at the time, but I did get on this platform and say that we're gonna make it to the semis of the AFCON out in Ivory Coast. And I watched the performance against Congo, and yes, as I'm saying, but maybe I was feeling all the feels, but I did say that book it. We are going to win AFCON 2025. And I'm here to reiterate that, Chuck. I honestly feel that we are one of the favorites going into that. We've not yet qualified, but the fact that we don't even have calculators to try figure out are we going to go to the AFCON or not. We are recording this prior to the game away to the Congo, but regardless of what happens in that game, I do genuinely believe we're going to the AFCON, and we're not only going to the AFCON to make up the numbers, and now our satisfaction is not just that, oh, we're back in the AFCON, we qualified after a long time in the wilderness. No. We are going there. In my mind, this is just the process. The qualification is the process to get us there, where we are going to be one of the main protagonists, one of the main challengers for that AFCON in 2025. If that doesn't spell that the glory days are back, I don't know what does.